through. What I also told them, I said, it sounds to me like you approach the situation I'm in a little difficult. So I think you were met.
How's it going?
With a little
Good, how about you?
difficulty.
We're not
because
seeing
of
each
how
other
you
today?
approached it.
Nope.
I said, not saying our folks.
I talked to Frank earlier, but not you. I gotta get out.
Move around.
Get stuck in that office. I did come to tell you, which is I talked to Frank.
On the front end, if you were more helpful. So,
Review the plan.
Oh, we got, what else in North Carolina is.
Dale was like. We're not gonna block.
And they would have been having filled out that.
Oh, okay.
Glad we got you. No, ma'am. I'm just glad we got.
All right, we're gonna call the Planning and Development Committee to order, and before I turn it over to Ms. Jessie, I'm gonna ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we send items A through F to the full council for their consideration. A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to send items A through F to full council for consideration. Is there any discussion? No other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So I hear a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn. Thank you, Jess.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And we're adjourned. Oh, it's just me. You.
Okay. That's. And I have some exhibits for y'all. Hey. All right. The first item on the agenda is Lee Street sidewalk update. And it's really to have y'all's direction on where to proceed. We have gotten a quote back from, this came before the committee several months ago about using Dorchester County's job order contracting, piggybacking off of their contract to save time for, putting it out for bid so we can get to construction sooner. They came back and the cost is $913,000. So the estimate that we received from the engineer of record last year was a little less than 310, it was 310,000. So I rounded up to 350,000. And
So what was that number again?
913,000. I was looking back through their job order and their breakdown, and there was a lot of clearing, just taking out some trees that weren't accounted for. The traffic control, the that was a lot higher than the original estimate, just because you're gonna have to keep traffic open, on that road the whole time. So, yeah, that would really eat up the whole budget for sidewalks this year.
That's some good news.
Yeah, so one thing that I had discussed with the Bike Ped Committee was potentially just our crews, the town's public works, building that first section of Lee Street, that 500 linear feet. What's shown there. That's something that we could do in-house. Our stormwater, because there is some stormwater pipe that needs to be put in, but we could do that, and that would take it up to Woodland Drive. And then from what I've heard, the Bike Ped Committee seems to be in agreement that, okay, that would at least get the pedestrians onto Woodland, where they could then use, from walking, use Deer, go around to Deer or Holly Street, and not be on Lee Street, which is the, one of the main entrances and exits to Newington.
And Bonnie, once they get back out to like Holly and Bacon's Bridge, they pick up the sidewalk right there for the trail. Is that about right? Is that about where the trail is?
Yes, there is. Bacon's Bridge has a path alongside of it that goes the whole distance. And then the Sawmill Branch Trail is right there, right beyond Holly Street.
And so the quote that we got was for the full, 2,100 feet?
It was, yes.
So, I guess, what it would be for 1,600 if we did the rest in the house. I mean, naturally, that's a drop in the bucket compared to the whole project, but is that the more difficult portion on Lee, or is from Woodland, or is it more difficult from Lee to Bacon's Bridge?
Yes, it is more difficult. That's 1,600 feet.
Okay.
There's sections of open ditch. And it would be, relocating, shifting some driveway pipes. This was one where, we'd want to pipe in certain sections. There's a property owner that would not sign slope permissions unless, the ditch did get piped. And so if doing that, it brings up, wow, well, how was this designed just to have a foot, and then it drops off to a open ditch where really wouldn't be conducive for, pedestrians anyway. Then just the erosion potential there. So, we consider just piping all of it. And that's going back to the engineer.
Yeah.
And
I think that we probably need to send this up to full council to talk about a little bit more. What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually 913,000 is,
yes,
that's all of our sidewalk budget for 2,100 feet of the sidewalks.
yeah.
It's just, I don't know, that's best use of
Mm-hmm.
funds in my mind. I'd like the idea of doing the 500 feet from, I don't know what it takes for y'all to go forth and do good work to make that happen. Do we need a motion for that to even start, or do we want to send it to full council first to discuss, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. If that's the recommendation from the committee, you do that and then have council provide the staff with that direction. Remember, you budgeted $500,000 for sidewalk work for this fiscal year.
Oh, 5.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
this million, I can't remember.
So, and as Bonnie suggested, conditions have changed over there, and this contractor, when they took a closer look at it, so obviously they priced a lot more work than what original condition or got estimates.
Do you think that there's a chance that if we had someone else look at it beside the two people that were on that Dorchester list, that they might come back with another alternative and lower pricing?
There
and-
could be.
And how much would that cost us to wait or to actually get them to bid it?
And that's something I could reach out to some contractors.
Well, I think if we're gonna do that, let's just go through the RFP process. Remember, the reason we wanted to go through Dorchester County was because we thought our number was good and that would expedite it. We wouldn't necessarily have to go through that RFP process, but if we go through the RFP process, then it's possible we'll get lower pricing, but it draws out the
Process.
Mhm.
Well, at this point,
Yeah, I think we're drawn out right now regardless. So yeah,
all right, so do you have a,
let's just move to go through the RFP process if you need that direction from us as a committee.
Okay, so
can we do
If
that
we
as a
need it.
committee?
proceed with installing the
Well-
entire sidewalk at this time and not just the first 500 feet and then reassessing and to see if we want to do the rest of that.
I think the RFP needs to be the full 2,100 and then back off, you know, if we have to then, and we want to do the 500 in-house, so it'll save us some funds
Okay,
from the contractor. Once we know what the RFP numbers look like.
okay.
Right, I agree. So at this point, we don't need to send a full council.
Okay.
No, I
don't
think
think
so.
so.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Put it
Sorry,
out
Lisa.
for bid. Yeah.
Trying so hard for that one.
Perfect.
What other good news you have for us?
All right, the next item is the quick claim request for the Noisette Row Side Street right of way. This also came before the committee a couple months ago, and this was because the owners of 105 Noisette Row have, built just one single family home back there. There is a driveway, a gravel drive, 16 feet wide installed, and utilities had been placed already on the sides of the right of way. And so, there was no reason that the town, we didn't have interest in keeping that, the full width of that right of way. So, it was agreed to quit claim it to the property owners of 105. We went through the appraisal, trying to get an appraisal, and then, the next step is to get the plat of the area to do the quit claim deed. And the appraisal we could not get. I reached out to 2 appraisers, and neither one of them, there was really no way to give a, property value for this. So, since that time, though, the adjacent properties, 103 and 107 Noisette, have expressed interest in this right of way. So what is shown in this exhibit is, 10 feet going to each of the adjacent property owners, and then the 20 feet going to 105 Noisette. And then, both of the 10-foot areas would need to have easements on them just because there are utilities. We have a drainage line on one side, and then the services for 105 Noisette are in each of those side areas as well for gas, electric, water, and sewer. But then otherwise, the 20 feet, that meets the minimum lot width frontage for zoning. So he has to have that in the fire code. And then I've reached out to all 3 of the property owners, and they seem to be in agreement. So then the next step would be, if we can't get an appraisal, then would it be okay just, giving this land to each of the property owners? And then for the plats and marking, the new property lines, to, instead of each property owner getting their own surveyor, have the town get a surveyor, and then that would be split 3 ways,
The cost
Yeah.
of the survey.
the cost of the survey.
Would be-
And I've already reached out to one surveyor, and, he gave the cost of $1,650. So that would be $550 each, split 3 ways.
The 3 property owners.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't have a problem moving that to council with the recommendation to approve the quick claim as you listed.
I'll second. All in favor?
Okay, and that is all.
I move we adjourn.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
All right, we have everybody. We'll go ahead. Finance Committee meeting to order.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. You have before you the July financial report. The revenue and expenditure summary, is the first item. We're back to, living in the red. Our current revenues for the month are just under 1.9 million. Our expenditures are just under 4 million. So we had a deficit position of, right at 2 million for operations. After transfers, the deficit position is, just under 1.8 million. Any questions about the summary? For the revenue summary, property taxes, we collected right at about 183 for the period. Our license and permits, 1.2 million. Court fines right at 25,000. State revenues, 331,000. Parks and Rec revenues, about 85,000. Miscellaneous revenues right at 15,000 for the total of the just under 1.9. Any questions about any of those items? I'm in the wrong order. Oh. Sorry. Impact fees for the month. We had no expenditures. Our revenues totaled 307,000, right at 128 for municipal, 136 for fire, and 43,000 for Parks and Rec. At the bottom, you'll see I have the unaudited fund balance, which we start at the beginning of the year for each of the categories. And below, in between fire and municipal, there's a line item that says encumbrances. I just wanted you to know that is the amount of Creech and Associates that we've committed to for the design of the public safety building. There'll be a portion of that allocated to fire and a portion to police and court, which will come out of municipal impact fees. So we have certainly spent a substantial portion of those impact fees. So I won't have that number on there every time, but I just wanted to kind of bring you up to date because we hadn't really talked about that. Next. Hospitality and accommodations. We took in just under about 550,000 in hospitality income, a little bit of grants and some sponsorship in there. The expenses are 393,000. That does include the 308,000 transferred to the general fund. I apparently got distracted. I wanted to break that down, which I will, so that you can actually see this hadn't been done before. So you can see what was transferred to the general fund and what the operating expenses are, because it's lumped together. It's hard to see. I apologize for not completing that thought. Local accommodations, we took in just under 40,000 and had no expenditures for the month. Yeah, questions? Stormwater, we took in 18,000, which was some of the property tax revenue from FY25, and had expenses of 132,000 for a deficit for the month of 113,000. Any questions, comments, wants, wishes? Thank y'all.
Nope, thank you, ma'am.
Next is a discussion of the current Carolina Waste contract. Good evening, council, and I'll lean on Rhonda for some of this commentary and discussion as well. If y'all recall back on April the 22nd, during one of your budget retreat meetings, you voted to open the garbage collection contract up to bids in October of this year. We met recently, Rhonda and Bonnie and I, met recently with Austin Moore with Carolina Waste and discussed with him your desire to want to open up the contract. And remember, our contract doesn't expire with them until next September, I believe. And so August. So we would want to have about 6 to 7 months lead time to make a change if there was going to be one. In our discussions with Austin, he said, understand your desire to want to go out to bid, but he told us that he would bid on the work that they have already, but that the charge that they would probably bid is going to be 25 to 30% higher, even as the incumbent, than what we are paying currently. So with that information in hand, we've been talking internally and would like to get your sense and your direction. Our preference, our preferable way forward would be to not bid the contract out and instead negotiate with Carolina Waste on an extension of their contract at a much lower rate than what we would likely pay, certainly through them as the incumbent, and we would expect as high or even higher bids from other contractors if they even have the capacity to service us. So that's our ask of you, is to let us go forward and see if we can negotiate a contract with them to extend, rather than put it out to bid for concerns that we will end up paying more than we would if we go down the path of renegotiating. So I'll put that out there and answer questions and let y'all discuss. And you don't have to give us an answer tonight, probably. If you want to think on it, and we can revisit it next month. We're not in any huge rush, except for that self-imposed deadline of bidding out the contract in October.
Well, I do know that changing contractors is tremendously disruptive. Every trash can has to be changed out. New public information numbers, and if it means we're going to pay 30% more, then yeah, by all means, I'm in favor of negotiating an extension to their contract.
I've looked at some of our neighbors and the rates that they're paying. Goose Creek's paying $185 a year currently for their garbage collection. They do it in-house. North Charleston, I think, is around 150 or so. I'm not sure who their contractor is or if they even have one, but their economies of scale are obviously a good bit bigger than ours. So right now we're paying $176.
That's our fee.
That's what we pay. The town pays the $176. We charge one.
That's what we charge.
We charge. Is that what we charge? Okay. Yeah. We're so a 30% increase would obviously put us up a fair bit higher than even our peers next door. So
Yeah, I'm not in favor of that either. Good.
When we bid it out the last time, it increased 34%, and that was after we gave them a 6% fuel charge increase as well. So a good 40% over what we were paying when I first arrived here.
I'm not in favor of that either. Of going up another 25% on our fee for that. That's essentially, at the end of the day, that's we're making our taxpayers, our citizens pay that fee, then making them pay 25% more. I know some hear a lot of grief about Carolina Waste. I mean, personally, on my end, I'm not on wood. I'm pretty fortunate. I guess they are picking up their cans most of the time in my district, but I'll leave it at that. I would be fine just marching on to see where we would be.
Yeah, to your point, this thing seems loud.
Empty room.
Yeah, to your point, I think we were having a lot of service issues that led to that discussion. And I was getting called often by several folks. Your community, the Garden Hill community, was getting missed a bunch. And I've not received but one call in the last 6 months related to trash pickup, which there's been a big shift in that regard. So I'm kind of in line with what everybody said. If we can renegotiate and save money and we're having good service, I don't see why we wouldn't at least try that first. We can always go out to bid if we want to, if the terms aren't satisfactory.
I agree. I haven't received any complaints in quite a while now. I mean, I know they're late sometimes or they forget a couple houses, but I think with a phone call, they're usually out there right away picking up. Or if they had a damaged bin of some sort that had to be replaced. But I think actually they're doing a lot better job than they had like last year, for instance.
So the topic is discussion. Do you need any action by this body?
To the extent, GW, that the council took a vote in April. I mean, I know it says discussion on here, but y'all can take action as the committee. Or we can put it on the council meeting agenda for Thursday night. Okay. We'll do that then. We'll put it on the council meeting agenda for Thursday night so you can take action.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Next is a request from Charleston Mayor William Cogswell to participate in the Low Country Rapid Housing Program.
You mean to talk about that?
I'm happy to share. We have both been involved with a request. Mayor Cogswell, from a regional standpoint, is taking some leadership in regards to our unhoused population. Step one, a solution that he had proposed regionally because he had property, was a rapid housing program that would provide a certain number of rooms for folks who needed housing. It would house wraparound services and several other items from nonprofits working alongside and state agencies working alongside to help these citizens. Now, when the concept in the regional space, I certainly believe it is a regional issue, and I'm supportive of working together with our region on ways to combat this. But when he presented the cost share formula that he came up with, it was population driven. And I was quick to point out to him that population driven hurts our community, and it's not a fair allocation because there are certainly areas that have much more revenue per citizen than we do. And so for us to pay so much more, I wasn't sure on the numbers he presented, we were going to be able to utilize the facility enough to satisfy that cost. So I expressed some concern. He has since sent an email basically requesting us respond with whether we would share in the cost or not. My position and my recommendation in talking with Scott, but my observation is not with the formula he proposed, and maybe not at all. However, it is a regional challenge, and if we don't work as a region to solve this challenge, we're going to end up just moving pockets of individuals around. So with that, Scott, what did I miss?
Well, so I can give you some of the numbers that we received at that October meeting when we got a briefing with lots and lots of other people from around the region. And you'll see it's on the next to last slide that they sent to us. Their startup costs, they're estimating at about $5.5 million, and then $1.5 million O&M costs in the first year or the second year of operations. And based on the formulas that they shared with us in October, Somerville's share of the startup cost would be $361,000, and then $100,000 annual O&M contribution for the facility. So that's a lot of money. And if you'll recall, at budget time, Keys to Change came and spoke to you and asked for support for their programs and services, and they certainly would want to expand. And so you would have to weigh their request and the proximity of their services to our unhoused population versus this effort that Mayor Cogswell and others are putting together. So there's certainly some opportunities that we could use for, as you all know already, the housing affordability through HTAX or accommodations taxes. But those are the numbers that those are the only numbers we have that they've shared with us in terms of what our share would be. So our population basis share would be 10.1% of the population. And that translates to $361,000 in startup, and then $100,000 O&M.
Not to mention the cost of our officers having to travel down to the peninsula back and forth when we do transport those individuals as well.
Where was it? I'm sorry, I missed it. Where was the facility gonna be located?
It's right next to their public works facility on the peninsula. I think it's in
Okay.
the neck.
Yeah,
There
it's in the
should be
neck.
some,
Yeah.
there'd be some maps there.
Oh, yeah, it's Oceanic Street and all that up there.
Yeah.
Milford Street.
Yeah.
That's correct. And this is one cross-section of the unhoused population that you're serving, because I believe what he presented was this was for men, not
Yes.
women.
Yes.
This was not for families
Correct.
or individuals with children. So this is a one prong on a multi-pronged approach that has not been contemplated.
Yep.
I feel like we've done well with the county. And not doing children and families, you're leaving out the most vulnerable, needy segment. So.
I think that the request that he's making, Mayor Cogswell, is do we want to support the effort, support this effort or not in some way? I don't know what that way is aside from the information that got last October. So I think that's the question in front of you. Do you want to move forward in partnering on this project or not?
I think maybe a good response from us is regionally, we want to support the effort. However, from a financial standpoint, we need to have very clear understanding of what the costs are, how they're being allocated, and what our share is.
Yeah, I feel like that as well. There's a lot of missing pieces here, I feel like, and I'd want to know for sure that the juice would be worth the squeeze, more or less. We're talking about that's 30 miles from where we're sitting right now to go down there, and it's a pretty good investment. Where maybe as a regionally, yeah, I agree. Regionally, we have to solve this problem regionally, but that's not really regional to all of us.
No, it takes an officer off the street quite a while.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually believe that 6 million is a low estimate for first year cost. And then once we commit to it, the annual operating costs, we have no control over that.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
It was a pretty abrupt request as well. We weren't planning on having that sent away.
My turn. All right, Mr. Mayor, I would move that we approve items D through M on the agenda pending any discussion.
Second,
All right, a motion and a second to approve items D through N. Any
M.
discussion?
M as in Mike.
M.
Mike.
M, yes, sorry. D through M. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Pursuant to SC Code of Laws, Section 27-21-20, declare recovered funds as property of the town and place them into the police department's inventory for officer training. The request was from the police department.
I'll make a motion. We approve that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
What is this?
Hey, good evening, Mayor and Council. So a few years ago, I don't have the exact date, it might have been 2023, 2024, an individual located a large sum of money. Good Samaritan turned it in to the police department. We were unable to find the owner. Nobody's come forward with these funds, and pursuant to this section, we're going to use it for training purposes for the police department.
Thanks. I just never heard of this before.
That's pretty good. Samaritan.
Yeah, right.
Dropped off a large sum.
Nice donation.
I think the state law is pretty clear on how those funds can be used. Is there a reason why we need clarification tonight?
I'm happy to. Or you know, all three of us. Sure.
Good question, Councilman.
So what's the question exactly?
I'm saying state law is pretty clear on our ability to use those funds within
Yes.
the budget.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why are we doing something different or
No.
in addition to?
The statute 27-21-20 item 2 says that the chief of police may use any property recovered by his jurisdiction if the property is placed on the jurisdiction's inventory as property of the jurisdiction. Just procedurally and to cover our bases, we want y'all to make that declaration, if you will, and say, yes, we are going to place it into our inventory, and you would be doing that by way of the motion and vote that you have on the floor.
Right. And to be clear, we're talking about unclaimed, not seized and forfeited.
Correct. That's right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the clarification. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, real quick for the town administrator's report. That's where we are, right?
Yes, sir.
Wanted to give y'all a real quick update on where we are with regard to employee health insurance coverage and are working with Rick Woodard at the Woodard Agency, who is our broker of record. We met with he and Blue Cross Blue Shield week before last. Blue Cross gave us their quote for the upcoming calendar year, and their increase would be 14.85% over what we're paying now. Theoretically, according to industry standards, our increase should have been 44.64% for them to break even, if you will, versus in terms of the claims that they pay out versus the premium that they collect from us. But thanks to some fancy footwork and salesmanship on their part, they are proposing a 14.85% increase. That translates into right at $877,000, which is a significant sum. Now, we would not pay all of that $877,000 because, as you know, employees who have employee spouse, employee child, employee family, or family coverage, they pay 18% of the premium for that. So the 877 would come down some. We are meeting again this week with Rick Woodard to hear some more quotes from other carriers, Cigna, United Healthcare, some others, to get a sense of the increases that they would potentially put on us. But just putting you on notice that that is we're gonna pay a pretty decent increase. Now, we'll say that Blue Cross did say that all of their clients are going to have a 10% increase. Everybody's getting a 10% increase. So ours is just a little bit higher than that. And our experience is getting better. We are reducing our claims. We've been coming down incrementally over the last 3 years, and we'll continue to do that. I think our department heads have been working with employees to help employees be aware that they need to make better choices in terms of where they go to get care. Instead of going to the emergency room, go to the doc in the box, get your primary care. don't use the emergency room as your primary care. And emergency room usage was down for this year. So proud of that, but we're still going to have an increase. We'll meet again. We're going to meet with Rick, as I said this week, and we'll see if the numbers get any better, but I'm not optimistic. Just wanted to give you that heads up.
How does the 14.8 compare year over year for us?
Let's see, last 2024, it was a 13% increase. 2023 was 8.38, 22 was 16.5. So, I mean, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Pretty consistent. And again, remember when we talked about going with Rick, what we're trying to do is manage the size of the increase from year to year. We're not going to get a cut from what we're paying, but it's to try and be closer to that 10% overall increase for everybody rather than 15% or something higher than what everybody else is paying. So
In our current year budget, didn't we factor some increase in?
about 5%, 5% increase. Yeah. Yeah. Cause we just had no way of knowing what it would look like
And what are we paying now?
in terms of
The insurance for the.
what our total is, Mr. Jackson. Let's see. Our premiums for 24-25 was 5.581 million. And they paid out 6.127 million. So they're taking a hit from us, but as they suggested, they want to be good. They want to be a good company and they're nonprofit. So, but they still have to cover their expenses, obviously.
So this will no doubt be a part of the conversation we have in December when we talk about health insurance for retirees.
Yep. Now, I will say Rick is going to bring us some options to discuss about that. In fact, we're going to talk about it in October. We'll do that before December. But he specifically said that he's going to bring us some options this week to put in front of you with regard to retiree health insurance. There may be some strategies that we can employ to maybe put them into a separate plan that's just as good, but it doesn't, their experience and their claims history or their claims would not count against the overall population, but we'll bring those to you as soon as we get them. All right, that's all I have for my report.
Thank you, Scott.
Next is executive session.
Mr. Mayor, we enter executive session to discuss matters relating to expansion of businesses in the Sawmill Center development allowed by South Carolina Code Laws 30-4-70A5. And I would ask that we invite Mr. Milton Thomas and Mr. Robert Thomas to join us.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss matters related to the expansion of businesses in the Sawmill Center development. Inviting Milton and Robert